we're going to talk about Foundry and the advanced features of Foundry and the advanced mods for Foundry, the premium mods for Foundry. And Dom, the resident Foundry sage of our Discord server, is going to lead us through this exploration. So the question we're trying to answer is, at the end of the day, are all of these things and all the crazy cool things they could do, is it worth it? So we're going to see some pretty cool stuff. I don't know if we're going to see the coolest stuff, because I don't want to show too many campaign spoilers on my end, but we're definitely going to see some cool stuff today. So Dom, what are we going to talk about first? What features are like, do you consider to be advanced features? And then always kind of clarify, is it an advanced feature or is it a mod? And then is it a, if it's a mod, is it a premium mod, right? Because that's another aspect of it. Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to talk about is something that's built into core Foundry that there are some mod support for, and I'm using some mods on this feature to help do some extra stuff, and that's the regions in core Foundry. We've been using, there's been so many mods that sort of, before regions came out, that did sort of what regions did, and they use drawings for it. So all the time, like if you end up looking at any of our old videos, we always talked about multi-level token mod, which allows you to teleport and fuse and copy and make things show up in certain areas and stuff like that. Well, a lot of the features that we used to use that mod for have now been put into the core ability of regions in Foundry 12, and a lot of the mods that we did, that some of the features that we didn't get translated over, have now been split into mods that take advantage of the foundation that regions set up.
And can regions clone? Is regions?
No. That's the only thing we lost.
Okay.
Is clone. Yep.
Gotcha.
But what we used to use clone for was for seeing people below, and we have levels for that now.
I mean, that's the primary thing. I have used it. I used it.
But
in that mirror. Remember the mirror maze?
And I used it in the mirror maze in what'd you call it? Rhyme.
Yeah. So like, there's very edge case reasons that you might want to use it, but it's certainly something that you could live without.
And the mod is still active, and you can still use it too. So it's not like it's gone because regions came.
In fact,
just that a lot of the functionality.
If you like with me in Curse of Strahd Classic, I still have to have it because he built all of his stuff using multi-level token tool, not regions. So it's still
they can coexist. They can go and they can coexist. It's just that they sort of do some of the same stuff. It's just, but they don't overlap with each other.
Yeah. And then regions is this little checkerboard box over here on the side that lets you draw shapes, and the shapes can do many things. Many things. Yeah. All right. So
what we're looking at right now is one of the Monster Hunter maps that I set up, and because I wanted people to elevation, and because that's the thing in Monster Hunter, like you're standing up on a cliff and use that to help jump off stuff, and we always liked the idea of verticality in battle maps and wanted to express that. So I did spend some effort in trying to make this map have verticality, so you can kind of see sort of the what you call it, vertical. You can see the regions here, and I have little notes that it tells you kind of what they are. So like right now, you see Gemma, she ran up that ramp to get up to this plateau, which is 20 feet up.
Yeah, no, and it's incredible.
As you're walking up the ramp, it's like slightly changing your elevation until you get up to the point where you step onto the flat area. There's that, and then you right. Another thing too is so that's just simple here. But in order for this to work, the regions are being used to change elevation and stuff like that. But in terms of making ramps and stuff like that, this is actually coming from a mod that's using the framework of regions.
Oh, and so ramps is an add-on to regions, not a core feature. Okay.
Yes, and it's from the mod. Let me see here. It's called Terrain Mapper by Kwalk. I think how you say it. Kwalk. Kwalk. Yeah, Terrain Mapper by Kwalk. So what they did is they used the core ability of regions. They added in a new tab on the end of regions called Terrain Mapper, and that you can just say that this is a plateau, and that this plateau is at this elevation, and it will do as long as that is the active scene and you're using it, and people are using walking through it, it will just instantly move their elevation up and down based off of where they're standing on the plateau. They also allow you to set your default elevation for the scene as well. So if always when they come in on the scene, and anytime you want to drag somebody out, like say the most part of the scene is like at elevation 40, you could say that this scene's, anytime I drag out a token, they're going to be default elevation 40, and then they can move around and use the regions as they move around. He also allows you to set up ramps, so you can set up an area, set up an angle, say what the minimum elevation is and set up the maximum elevation, and as you move down the ramp, it will change your elevation as you're moving down. So it's been pretty cool. I've set it up for this map and a few other maps that I had set it up for this one shot that we are doing, depending on which map you guys found the monster on. So there's this map that had these two tiers, a 20-foot plateau and a 40-foot plateau, and then ramps, a big large ramp walking up it, another steeper ramp walking up the side, and a smaller ramp walking up right there. This whole area was at 0, and then I had an area that was set up for the regions to be water. That one does not require. This one, you also Terrain Mapper also adds extra stuff for triggering difficult terrain and stuff like that. That's mainly used for D&D. That feature doesn't really work too well with Pathfinder 2e unless you're using the default ruler, and then it could work. They kind of just make it so that you put a status effect on yourself, and then we have to just in our heads like, hey, I'm walking difficult terrain now. Let me do the math myself. So how this is all set up, really. So I don't know if you have access, since you're assistant GM, I think you should have access to opening up the regions. So if you open up one of the regions to let's look at main slope. I don't know if you want to open up main slopes.
Here you go.
All right. So main slope is this ramp right here that's over on the left hand side of this map where it says ramp and it's large and big. It's a big blue one right there. That's the only main ramp. And so if you go to Terrain Mapper tab inside the region, you see that it's set up as a ramp and a step, and that the maximum height is 40, which is the height of the highest plateau, and its lowest elevation is 0, which is the height of the area below by the water. The ramp directions is 210, because that's the direction the ramp is moving up. If you had like 100, like a circle, 90 degrees is east, to the right. And so, 90 degrees is west, so to the left. So you gotta add up the rest to get to this angle. And you don't have to get it perfect. It's just whatever direction you're trying to just know that 180 is up and down. And so add a little bit more of that to go to the right. All right. So, and then because of that, once I put that in, set it to ramp step in. Nothing else I really need to do except for make sure that the bottom and the top are at, the bottom is at infinity and the top is at 40, because the top of the ramp is also at 40. So if somebody's at 40, when they step on this thing, I want them to be grabbed by the ramp and be starting to go slope down.
And then this is actually not the default UI for regions either, right? You have a mod that's adding this save button, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because regions is very powerful, but it's still a relatively new feature. Yeah, and the default UI for it is rough. It's pretty rough.
So
and what mod is that adds the?
So let me go through the mods that I have that support regions and allow us to kind of do all this stuff. So Terrain Mapper is one of them, and then there's a few mods that are all have regions in front of them. So there's region enchantment.
Right. Okay.
So there's that. There's where is it? I think it's like easy regions or something like that.
Yep, easy regions, region enchantment. Oh, dude, I found one that might be useful for a thing we were trying to get last week to work. That's called region attacher.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's gonna do.
Yeah, I have it here. I've never used it yet.
Allows attaching scene regions to templates on template creation.
Well, the thing is, though, templates is what they're talking about. Yeah, templates. They're talking about like a line or a square or a burst or
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
That's what they mean by templates.
Dang.
So you can if a spell is supposed to cause difficult terrain once it's placed.
Yeah.
You can have the spell automatically make a region under itself that says anybody who steps here is in difficult terrain. So I did use this on the when you guys fought the slime in Strength of Thousands, and it had the plants that followed it. Mm-hmm. Yes, it used region attacher on that because I had the template with a region following it to give you guys difficult terrain when you're next to them.
So easy regions is the one that lets you
save,
drag and drop the different regions to interact with each other without having to copy the code. And then region enchantment is the one that adds the save button.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, and so this is a lot of mods, right? When people are like, try to keep your mod low or load low, and don't have so many mods, and hey, you guys wouldn't have so many problems if you didn't have so many mods. Look at how many mods we're running just to make regions decent. You know what I mean? So every feature, right, that you want to run, there's a good chance you're gonna have to go get some mod support if you really want that feature to shine. So this is a great example. This is a great first example of what we're going to be talking about tonight, where regions is pretty awesome. It's a default feature, but if you really want regions to be good, we're already going and grabbing 3 or 4 more mods to make it good.
And that's only to and so I will say, that's for the things that I'm talking about right now, because that's what we needed to use, like ramps and stuff like that, and being able to save and being able to drag and drop stuff in there. So it sort of help us be a little bit more efficient when we're trying to do certain things, and that's why we go and grab these mods.
Yeah,
you could use regions for their default stuff like teleporting, normal just changing elevations with a teleport, things like that, without having to get any of these mods. But these mods really do help make it a little bit, quality of life stuff, to make it so that when I do open it and I change the name and then I go to the next tab, I have a save button that allows me to not have to close out the entire region editing thing. So just to save one tab before I go to the next tab.
All right. So looking at this map, okay, there's got to be 70% of the map is covered in regions that you had to draw by hand, that you had to set up the programming for.
Yep.
Not saying that you wrote code, but you did program them to do certain tasks. They have to interact with each other. Earlier, I was having Gemma just kind of run around the map, and I did break your one ramp by moving too quickly, because that's another thing that happens with regions, is if the tokens are moving too fast, they might miss the triggers that the regions are causing, and if they miss a single trigger at the wrong time, now they're at the wrong height, or they're or some other thing is happening that forces them to not trigger. You have to take into account, default, you don't have to take into account the height and everything, right, of the regions, but with other mods that we're going to talk about, you do have to take into account the height aspect, right, of entering the zone and leaving the zone and all that. I guess you do, right? Have to take into that account.
No, so that the height of a region is a default thing that you almost always have to take into account.
So
whenever you're using
there's
region.
A lot you're having to do here. So this one map, which is a forest, right, was a set piece boss fight arena, right? This wasn't like my players are going out to the forest, I rolled a random encounter, I need a forest map, and I just whip this forest map out real quick, right? This was a map that you put a lot of work into to make it a dynamic and exciting boss fight arena. I have to ask, do you know how many hours it took? I mean, give yourself, a break for learning regions and stuff like that, but with proficiency, right? With proficiency, how long would it take to set up a map like this?
So with the mods I have set up and now and how I'm used to it now, if I need to remake this map, I feel like it wouldn't take me that long, because I would, once I set it up, I know what I need to put in,
Right.
Part of this is also like, part of the time of this is like saying, like, okay, do I want this to be 20 feet or 15? That also takes time.
That takes time that you're never actually going to level up out of, right? Because that's designing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's designing. So that time is always going to be there. But in terms of like getting it, set up, I think it wouldn't take me too much longer to do it now, because I understand how the system works. But figuring out the system also takes time. Okay. And also figuring out what you want to do with the map in the first place, and what your end product is what your end product you're going for is, also takes time. But I feel like regions, with the mods that we have that allows us to save and not have to constantly close and stuff like that, and help with the quality of life, it won't take too long for ramps and just elevation changes. What takes long is like teleporters, because you gotta make two separate things and then go back to them and then link them up and then do that stuff. So that if it's a map that requires teleportation and stuff like that, that's when I feel like that takes a lot more time. I feel like with Terrain Mapper, and if the thing is just ramps and plateaus, I don't think it's that bad. It's not that bad to take. I think I can give myself, maybe if I already have the map and it's just me putting the regions on there, it could probably, and like this map right, so probably take me maybe 15-20 minutes.
15-20. All right. Now, full disclosure though, I mean, you are an architect, so you think about things in like a 3D space, right? You can look at a 2D object, right, and see it in a 3D space. You hear that 0 is south, 180 is north, and you're like, yeah, 210 degrees is how you're going to climb up this ramp, and this ramp is going to go to 40 feet because that's how high this area is going to be. This area is 0, this area is 20, so halfway along that path you're going to stop and be at 20, and then so like that's something that you have trained outside of DMing, right, as part of your career, to kind of think of things in that way. I mean, this is, in my opinion, some pretty complicated way of thinking if you are, just a guy or girl or person that's like, this is my battle map, you know what I mean? Like, and I do think this is fantastic. I loved playing on it, and I would want to put the effort into this on set piece maps. I don't know if I would bother with like a honestly quick encounter,
We've been doing this for so long that, like, honestly, I'm doing this because I like the idea of doing that, having automation. When it happens. But realistically, like, we could have did this thing, and I could have just said, hey, when you're standing on this part, you're 20 feet up.
Right. Yeah. You could have even if you're last minute, you're just throwing this map out. You could just grab a marker and you could be like, yeah, so everything here, that's gonna be 20 feet, and then everything up here is 40 feet, guys. Like that's that's how you do it IRL. Yeah. And
so, and I don't think it would like, doing that would not ruin your game.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't like, I want to set this preference to is that we're showing all these really cool mods, but if you don't feel comfortable doing it, or like this is a lot of work, and you're comfortable in how you run, and maybe you want to try it out for a single map or something like that when you want to do it, but don't think that you have to do this to have a good game. You can always ask people, hey, I'm gonna let you know that, hey, when you're standing here, it's 20 feet. I put a little text note that says that this is 20 feet when you're standing here. And then if somebody asks a question like, hey, is this area like 20 feet or this area like what elevation I am at this point? Eyeball it. Come up with a number. Say we're halfway through the ramp. This is supposed to be a ramp. The top part is 40. You're 20 feet. You're halfway there. And just call it a day.
And there's parallels between something like this in VTT and something like this in person, right? Like, you don't got to be a millionaire to have 3D terrain. Okay, you can make 3D terrain out of your recycling and your garbage. You know what I mean? Like, buy a hot glue gun and you're ready to go. Like, it's that easy. Like, craft paints, a hot glue gun, and your recycling is all you need to make 3D terrain. Do you want to spend the time to make the 3D terrain? Like, do you want to think about the encounter in a 3D space and then build around that? You can, right? Or if you're super wealthy, you go and you get the Dwarven Forge. But even then, now you have Dwarven Forge, who's going to set it up for you? You know what I mean? You still got to build it and like design it and all that kind of stuff. Is it worth that extra effort versus just having people show up? You got your dry erase mat, and you just say, yeah, this area over here is actually up high, this area over here. Throwing an empty cereal box or a full cereal box on the table and being like, this is a hill. When your minis are up here, you're higher up than the rest of the map. I mean, there's different levels, right, of detail of how you want to create that immersive tactical combat experience in VTT and in real life. So like, you don't need any of this, but I will say, as a player, I really enjoy it when we go to a map and you or Red or somebody who really knows a lot about Foundry has set up these kind of features. This is really neat. You know, it feels really good to be like, oh, look, I'm going up. I'm at height 15 now. You know what I mean? Like that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
This is another map. Same thing. Big ramp in the middle, big slope in the middle, and then a bunch of plateaus all over the place.
Ooh. I mean, this isn't too spoiler. It's just a jungle. Could be anything in here. Yeah.
This was another place you could have fought the Zenogre.
So what you could also do with your water areas is you can trigger an animation effect to play, right? So like it could be like when I'm in the water, I have like an underwater overlay on my miniature. And then when I leave the water, I don't have that underwater thing anymore, and that's pretty cool too.
I wonder if I set it up. I think I might have only set it up in Strength 1000. I don't think I set it up in here. But
I tested the beach and it didn't have an effect, but let's see.
Well, not for the water, but like if you like go on Gemma and add I don't know, add some persistent damage to her or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like fire.
Let's see. Persistent damage, fire. But she's fireproof, dude. You've seen her outfit when she's smithing. Like, she don't take no fire. No, it didn't turn on the.
Yeah, it didn't turn on here. So I didn't do it on this. I didn't do it on this one. But
that's a good point, though. If they have a fire animation that triggers when they take ongoing fire damage, that's an advanced Foundry feature, right? And then I want to talk about it.
Oh,
you want to talk about that now? All right, I got you. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, that's what I was gonna talk, because we were talking about having effects happen when people step into regions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the way you set that up, regions has the power to do that by default. There's a behavior that's called effect, and you just say, okay, what effect gets added on them when they you copy the effect onto the region, and whenever somebody steps in it, it turns on the effect on them. Now, if you want that effect to do some type of animation, there's a mod that we've been using for a very long time for this, and it's called automatic animations.
Oh yeah, automated animations. That's the one from JB2A, or is that?
That's the one that uses. That's the one that uses JB2A.
This is a Ripper. This is a Ripper one. Okay.
Yeah, it used to be somebody else, and then that guy, went away, and he I'm tired of modding, and then Ripper took it over and is maintaining it now for everybody. And it works with Sequencer. It's two mods. It's Sequencer and automatic animations.
Isn't Sequencer is Sequencer a separate mod?
Yes, Sequencer is a separate mod. That automatic animations is a dependent of Sequencer. So like you need to have Sequencer to use automatic animations. And you need to have Sequencer for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Sequencer is the one where you could preview all the special effects and stuff, right?
So that's a really big mod actually. It lets you preview all the special effects, and it also gives you like a little like effect layer where like say you want to like I don't know, I need to quickly make like an explosion real quick. You can open up the Sequencer manager. Go to where is it? Player. So okay, on the left hand side where all the controls are, there's the one that looks like the disc tray where you can search everything. Right under it looks like a little film. On the left hand controls.
Oh yeah, I see it. Show sequencer menu. Yep.
Yeah. So you click on the show sequencer manager and you go to player, and then you can say switch to layer, and then you could put in anything, find any sequencer thing. So let me go and look up. I don't know what's a good what's one we explosion. Explode. Let's look for explode. What's a good this blue explosion. We'll say that one. I just go ahead and copy the file into there, and then switch to layer, and then I can just draw a line, and then it makes an explosion. You just make explosions whenever I need.
Oh yeah. There we go.
You make a ton of them. So those times when you're playing with we're playing and Red is one of your players inside your game, and all of a sudden you like say something's happening, and all of a sudden you know, an explosion happens and no one had it set up for an animation, it's because Red is going into the sequencer manager, finding the thing, adding it, switching the layer, and just drawing little lines for it.
Beautiful.
But that's sequencer.
Sequencer, again, not a core feature, but a free mod.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of got sidetracked there when I was talking about automatic animation.
You have sequencer, which chains into automated animations, which utilizes another mod, which can be free or paid, which is JB2A animations.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the thing. Sequencer is the parent. It makes it's like the thing that controls, that sets up all the foundations so that you can do all this stuff. JB2A is the content. They make a bunch of animations they have a paid version and a free version that, the automatic animations, looks for. They get the link from them to show off the animations. And an automatic animation is the player and GM facing tool that lets you set all this stuff up. So, where we get to that thing, and anybody can do this, even players can go over here and set some of this stuff up, I believe, for themselves, is you go to your configure settings, look for automatic animations, and then there's like a little launch menu button. And then this menu is going to pop up, which allows you to add a bunch of automatic animations based off of the name of the action or thing that you want it to do. So they have categories, they have melee, and then it has all these names for all the type of melee weapons that are out there. These are automatically generated based off. So there's another mod that I have called, I think it was like PF2E animations or something like that, which just sets this up for me. Comes in and fills in all the names and sets up all the animations so that we don't have to come here and set it up yourself. Because by default, the stuff is sort of set up for D&D 5e. That's like the default. And so it doesn't have all the other names for all the other items that are in Pathfinder. So somebody made a mod, and all it does is just it runs a macro that, fills in all this information for you for Pathfinder.
Which is a tremendous amount of work, because there's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah. So, and what it does, it makes it so that, if somebody has a longsword and they use the longsword to do a melee attack, it's going to use the longsword animation that's set up in this list. Now, if there's a special, effect, like your boss does, makes people burst into green fire, and you want them, whenever they get, the effect, my BBEG's green fire effect, and you place it on your players, and they're supposed to burst into green flames. You need to go to active effects, which is all the way on the right-hand side of that menu. Come in here, add a new one, which is the little plus sign. Name it whatever the name of your effect is. The actual name of the effect.
You got to scroll all the way down.
Yeah, you got to scroll all the way down to find the new one. Yeah. And then put the name of the effect, and the actual name of the effect. If the name of the item is effect : BBG green fire, then you need to put effect : BBG green fire. It's not case sensitive, so you don't have to worry about that. But you do have to put it in. If your thing is kind of generic and you needed it's like BBG fire, and you don't want fire to get confused with this, there's a little green dots here, little 3 dots here. You can click on that, a little menu pops up, and you can go to advanced, and you can set it so that it's exact match. So the exact thing that you put inside this thing is the exact thing it has to look for, just in case
you don't want to trigger on the wrong thing.
On the wrong thing, like you might have an item, and inside of the item there's text that says this is the BBEG's green fire, and then it triggers because BBEG green fire is inside of it. So once you place that in and you open it up, you can open up the hit the little drop down after you name it, and you say what type of effect. Since it's supposed to be an active effect, you say what a type it is. Usually say on token, or maybe it's an aura. You pick which animation type you want, and then you can go to custom, go find the link to the JB2A, wherever your JB2A assets are saved. If you're self-hosting, wherever you save them. If you're on the Forge, You can find them where you need to. You can also use the sequencer show sequencer database thing to find it as well, and you can just copy and paste it here. And normal stuff, it will just pop up on them if it's once you find the effect. Now, this is us using pre-made animations made by JB2A. I'm not a programmer. I don't know how to make my own animations other than sort of taking something else and sort of opening up the macro and making some number adjustments. Like I look for a fire effect macro that was made probably by another mod, which I think is Token Magic Effects. That's another mod that helps with animations. You find that macro that they have made, you open it up, and maybe there's an area in that lists the color code, and you change the color code to be green. And then save it as your own.
Right, and even then, right? This isn't something that everybody plays tabletop, right? Everybody plays tabletop, and every DM, GM, storyteller, right, is different, has a different background set of skills, right? We like to say on these VODcasts that you got to wear a lot of hats. In the VTT space, it can feel so intimidating, right? Because not only are you wearing all of the hats that you wear for normal DMing, there is an increasing pressure, right, to be a video game designer, to be a entry-level video game programmer, right? So over here in this world, where I know for a fact we've got some macros that we can mess with, all right? I got, let's see here. This one is for clearing filters, right? So that's not too complicated. It just says token magic.delete filter on selected blah blah blah. But some of these are really complicated. Like this one right here that turns a token into an ally, it changes their affiliation or whatever. That's getting pretty long. We have seen some of these macros that you gotta keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it really is about looking, learning and being oh, I understand that they're asking me to change this if I want to change the color, or I need to change this if I want to change the speed. And the other thing is this isn't an iPhone, right? We make that comparison all the time, that Roll20 is an iPhone, Foundry is an Android phone. Just like an Android phone, they will let you ruin it. You know what I'm saying? They will you can write any code you want. You can go in, right now, I can click any of these blank things down here, and I can start writing code. Any code I want. And if I don't know what I'm doing, I will break the world. I'm on my 4th Kingmaker because I was trying to learn Foundry stuff, and I was using my Kingmaker world instead of a test world to practice coding, and I wrote a couple of macros that actually broke the world. It's that easy to do if you don't know what you're doing. And even if you do know what you're doing, that's the nature of programming, is you get one bad line of code and you could just brick the whole thing. So this is not in any way something that anyone should feel I need to be doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There are a ton of GMs out there, especially Pathfinder GMs, that are brilliant, super duper smart, and they're this is so easy. This is the simplest code in the world. Of course I could just go in and mess with it, and that's great. But I do want to remind people that everybody wants to play tabletop and run tabletop, but not everybody understands code or should be messing with the code for these macros in their games. Because you can mess them up real quick. All right. But after you find the macro that needs to be run, or the effect that needs to be run, and you've affiliated it with the name of the effect, now when that effect, when that action, when that attack occurs, these mods will all work together. Sequencer will go and grab the asset from JB2 animation or token effects, and then it will say, I've got this sequenced up, and then automated animations will say, cool, when they do X, I want you to do Y, and they all work together. But how many mods did we have to download to make that happen? 3 or 4 mods, right? 3 or 4 mods to get that to happen. So now we got 3 or 4 mods here. We got 3 or 4 mods there. You can see how it starts adding up. You can see how it starts adding up. Every single mod you have is an opportunity for your world to break if those mods don't get updated properly. Or if they get updated and the update makes them not friends with this other mod. Or, I don't know, the mod you got for the one psychic in one of your games breaks a bunch of basic features of your other stuff because we don't know why. We don't know why. That's just how programs are sometimes. Sometimes they butt up against each other and they borrow from each other and they overlap in ways that you don't think they would overlap. Anybody that's played any kind of video game that allows mods, it's an ecosystem. It's a delicate ecosystem. And the more of these mods you have, the more chances things are going to break, and you're going to be spending your entire prep session troubleshooting broken mods instead of prepping for your session. So like these are things to consider when you're doing it, right? Like, is being able to automatically change elevation as you climb up a hill worth 3 or 4 mods, right? Is being able to automatically set yourself on fire like Dom just did, is that worth 3 or 4 mods, right? Like, these are the questions you got to ask yourself. I think it's super immersive. I think it's great. I love it. But is it worth it, right? Is it worth it to have 3 or 4 more ways that the world could get broken? 3 or 4 more ways that you're going to have to keep track of, updates and compatibility, and something goes wrong and now you got to check which of my mods has it broken. Well, if you've got 200 mods, that's a lot of mods you got to start going through to figure out who's not playing nice with who else. So stuff to think about. All right, but we've shown 2 pretty cool things. What other advanced Foundry features are you like, I like doing this, this is worth it to me, I want to do it? Like, it enhances the experience for me, it's fun to do as a DM, I like showing off these things. Because I got that airship we've been working on for weeks. Like, I mean, that's...
Yeah, we went through 2 mods on my end. If we want to go through the thing there, because I don't think we did it on. We've done it. The time we worked on it was like off stream.
Ooh, I think one time we worked on it on stream and one time we worked on it off stream, and I've been working on off stream a ton. But so one of the mods that I'm a huge fan of is called Levels, and this is another mod. It's not a paid mod, but it is a mod that is very complicated. I'm going to be honest, it's very complicated. And we talked earlier with the ramps and the regions and the plateaus and all that you have to think about a 2D space in a 3D way. Well, this takes it even further because literally you are building a 3D space that you are looking at in a 2D way. So imagine that you were looking straight down at the world. You're playing Baldur's Gate 3 in top-down view only. That is Levels, okay? So there are going to be things that are at a higher elevation, at a lower elevation. They're going to have the ability to go underneath each other and on top of each other. And the maps themselves are going to be laid out on top of each other like a stack of pancakes. And then your miniatures are going to be in between those I don't know why I'm saying pancakes as the example, but like it's... Yeah. So here's an example. A pretty complicated example, honestly. We built an airship, and the airship is in a map that goes from height -1,000 to +1,000, so higher than Minecraft world height, right? So at anywhere between -1,000 and -20, you don't see the airship. But then when you get to -20, you see the hull of the airship, right? And so here's the airship. It's got like smoke coming out the back. It's got, all that. You can see that there are regions in here as well. There are walls in here. All of the walls have heights. That's another mod, right? Because wall height is not so wall height is another mod you have to add to the list. Different types of walls here with different heights and everything, and then different regions in the world also. And then these regions function as either stairs, which is a type of teleporter. Stairs is the easiest region teleporter because it just takes you up or down. Like that's what it does. But you can also make elevators, and then elevators can be programmed to take you to different heights in the map. And that corresponds to what you named them / what heights you're setting. And they don't have to match. It's not case sensitive on the elevators, but like here, I'll give you an example. We'll grab an actor. Let's see. Yeah, we'll throw another one of these guards down. Maybe. They're in the middle of a boss fight, so
Yeah.
Oh, these are the Aether Blades. There we go.
I just realized you have the ship as a boss.
As a boss. Cool, because alternate win condition, they have to like defeat the guys before the ship gets destroyed. So that's the yeah. All right, I'll close this initiative tracker down for a second. And all right, so we got this dude. He's on the boat. He's moving around, and also I'll turn on vision on this guy with mass edit, another mod that you could download.
Useful mod.
Very useful mod. Probably one of the best mods in existence. Just because it can ham fist solutions into the game. All right, so this dude's moving around and he sees, hey, this ladder, and he approaches the ladder and you get a little pop-up like you're in a Vigima game, and it says, do you want to go to the lower deck or stay here on the hold? And I said, I want to go to the lower deck, and he goes upstairs. So then we go upstairs and he's looking around and he's moving. He sees another ladder that goes up, or he could go out here, look around. All right, and then he's going to go to this ladder, climb up, and then we go to the deck. There we go, and he's moving around, and he comes out here. And what's really cool is if there was somebody under this grate, he would be able to see the person down below under the grate. So if I took this person and I moved her over here, and I went back up, I think he'd be able to see her. Oh no, I don't think I set this map up for it. But we could cut holes. Yeah, you could have holes.
Yes, you can cut holes
in this map with transparency, and you'd actually be able to see through the grate to the floor below, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Now, if we go up this ladder right here, and we go here, this guy should be able to look down and see those guys on the floor below. I don't know why he can't. If he's right over them, do I not have vision enabled? Let's see. I do. Weird. So you're supposed to be able to see the.
I feel like there's some like levels when you're a GM. It's always like
right. I have awkward. To switch. Yeah, you have to switch off your GM view and stuff like that. It's always pretty awkward as a GM when you're trying to gauge what players can see in levels, because there's sometimes where okay, yeah. So I'm not in GM mode anymore. So yeah, you can see. He looks over and he sees Songbo 10 feet below him. And I have a second mod installed, a supplemental mod to levels called Levels Blur. So the higher up you are, the blurrier things are below you or above you, as they're farther away. So when he looks down, he sees these guys below and he sees the map below, but they're blurry because he's up high. And then he can go up even higher because this is just like a crazy big map. So he goes over here and he climbs up to the crow's nest. And up here on the crow's nest, he looks down and he can see them, but look how blurry they are. I mean, you want to talk about immersion, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's up in the crow's nest, he can see people moving around on the deck, but they're a little blurry down there. The rest of the ship is a little blurry, and so on and so forth. This is incredible stuff, okay? Like, this is incredible stuff. This was not easy to set up. Like, this is not easy to set up. I set up a lot. I built Castle Ravenloft in levels, in a single scene. You can make really incredible stuff, but it is going to take time. It is the equivalent of, in real life, you're like, I'm going to build Castle Ravenloft. So you go and you get all the cardboard and you get the paint and you get the hot glue, you buy some Dwarven Forge, you get some Warhammer terrain, and you're like, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one way to sort of think about it too is that when you're doing this, the amount of work you're putting in is a little bit more than the amount of work you would have put in if you had set these up as separate maps, because you're still walling the same number of stuff. You're still, because you're still stacking all the same maps. If you were to keep them, they would have been all the same maps. You still would have been stacking them. You still would have been walling them, right? So don't think of it as that it's that much extra. The extra work comes in learning how to learning how to do it, and then setting up the transitions between the two maps, the levels. So that's where the extra time comes from.
Because the Alkenstar, remember the Alkenstar airship? This isn't spoilers. There's an airship in Alkenstar, guys. The airship in Alkenstar was 4 floors, and it was packaged as separate maps, right? So like when you paid for the module, each floor of the airship was a different map, and you had like an encounter where you're supposed to be all over the airship. And what a nightmare to run in VTT, where you're having to switch back and forth as the GM, and the players can't see when it's not their turn what the other people are doing unless you have cameramen that are shared between scenes, or you give everybody shared vision, and you're all over the ship and you're trying to make it work. I tried 2 different things with that. I tried the more traditional method where we did side-by-side maps, right? Yeah. So a huge scene, all of the stuff, and then I think this was before Regions came out, I used multi-level token tool teleporters to teleport them from like this map to this map to this map to this map, and it worked great. I didn't need levels for it. It worked great. That I also tried to make that airship into a levels airship where they were just stacked on top of each other, and then as you went up and down the ladders and the stairs, you transitioned from like just like you're seeing here on this airship. If I have the skill and the time, I will always want to do a levels map because it's more immersive. Honestly, when it works, it's freaking awesome, and it's a lot easier as the GM to run a levels map than it is to run separate maps. Here's the thing. Having them all laid out in a row, like this floor, this floor, this floor, and this floor on a single scene, not too bad. If you never want to learn levels, that is a good option. You should at least learn how to teleport. Yeah.
I will say is that one of the benefits of using levels is that you get an overall smaller scene, which is better for performance. For even though you're stacking all those maps on top of each other, it's the same number of maps you would have on the same scene, same number of data that you need to that your players need to download, even if they were side by side. Yeah. But you put the overall scene is smaller, so the resolution is smaller, so it's a little bit better for performance than having them all side by side. I will say that. Yeah. In that case, so if the scene's not too big, and you can stack them, and it's not you're comfortable with the walling and trying to do the transitions. You don't have anything. If you don't have anything really weird, I think it's always beneficial to try and do the levels, just to make your scene smaller and more compact and easy and performance wise for your players. And it's easier for you to see, have all the people, stacked on top of each other and seeing their relationship from each other. Especially if your map has like balconies where people have to be able to see people from an upper level, then levels is really right now either that or you do side by side, and we use that the old trick of having multi-level token tool and making a copy of people pop up on the lower side of that side by side map.
Because that's what we used to do before levels. Yeah, is we would use the cloning to make it look like you could see the people below. I think stress test proof, right, was Castle Ravenloft. Like, we were able to run all of Castle Ravenloft out of a single Foundry scene, which I didn't believe was going to be possible. Like, I did not think it would work, and it was rough for me as the DM until I turned on GM view. But when I would select a token that could see, it had to calculate 14 floors of a castle for me every time I selected a new token. So that was bad. But the players who were only controlling that one token, I don't think they really had significant slowdown or anything on a 14 level map that was big, right? I mean, it's Castle Ravenloft, so it was like 100 by 100, something crazy like that. It was huge. This is like,
I wish
this could do it. You know what I mean? This could do it.
Yeah, I wish I ran games that had more levels supporting, like, events. I had some of that in Cyberpunk, but so I used it when I can in Cyberpunk. But right now in String 1000, there hasn't been too many like indoor multi-level stuff. So, and I'm not sure when there is gonna be any of that.
See, I've been ruined by this stuff because we want to talk about, is the juice worth the squeeze, super advanced stuff. I've gotten into that Bailey Wiki stuff. and that is bananas, right? But it's also taught me that like levels have a place everywhere. So like, for example, on your world here, right? I'll have a map like this now for Kingmaker, and then I'll go to it's actually over here. It's Mass Edits presets or whatever. You have the same thing, and with Bailey Wiki nuts and bolts, you can search for a tree, and then you could just drag a tree down. I don't know if you've got. Do you have nuts and bolts? You have nuts and bolts, right?
I don't know. I don't think, because I'm not a patron of
okay. So a paid
I think I got his free version, but I don't think it's installed here. I think it's installed on Strength 1000.
Yeah, so you can go in here and you can search for like tree, and then there's going to be a tree that has the trunk already walled. It's got a shadow on the ground level. It's got foliage at a certain height, that is the height of the tree, that matches up with the height of the trunk. And then you just dropping that onto your background map. So like in this jungle, for example, we could just start dropping trees on there. And then once everything's in there, you turn on levels, and now you've got trees that all have like height and like verticality. You go underneath the trees and you got like the tree overhead. Somebody climb up to the top of the tree, they can see further because they can see over obstacles and stuff like that. But these are all extra features. These are all extra mods that you not only have to, in this instance, you have to pay for, you have to learn how to use, you have to learn how to troubleshoot, you have to learn how they interact with everything else, right? Because now we're talking about regions modified with mods, and then we're talking about animations triggering off of regions or just being a part of the game that are modified by 3 or 4 additional mods. Then we're talking about all of that working together with levels, which is a completely different mod, and
also keep in mind, levels is also like a suite of mods that sort of work together.
Oh yeah. I spent easily 2 months learning levels and Bailey Wiki, and there are still things that me and Dom do not know how to do with these tools.
I don't know how does he attach them together,
and he won't tell me. Like, there are just things that, like, and as a Photoshop user, I'm an old ass man. I've been using Photoshop since 1998. Okay, that's how old I am. You weren't born. You know what I'm saying? 1998. I was using Photoshop, and you were dealing your daddy's sack, as they say. And like, I still don't know everything there is to do in Photoshop. I am on LinkedIn. I took proficiency tests for Photoshop. I've been like the top 0.4% of Photoshop users on LinkedIn because I took a test or whatever that said that. I don't know how to do all the things you could do in Photoshop. It's that big and complicated of a program. Foundry, to me, it is kind of like that. Like, there is so much that we haven't even figured out that you can do. And you got people like Ripper out there turning it into Baldur's Gate 3. You got other people turning it into Solasta. You got other people turning it into a visual novel, right? With the theater crap that we were dealing with. Like, there's so much that can be done with this program. You guys, as GMs, DMs, storytellers, you don't have to do any of it. I need you to internalize that. Please, please, please do not think that anything that you see online, that you see in actual plays, that you saw us show you tonight, don't think that you got to do that. Don't think that you got to do that. But we're getting to the end of our thing. So, Dom,
if you want to do it, I would say if you want to do it, don't stress yourself out about it. Like, try it, pick one of them. Take the time to learn it if you want to spend the time to learn it, and focus on what you need from it first. What you want from it first. And like focus on that. Like figure out what you want, what your end product is, and see if that mod can get you to that end product, and work on trying to figure out how to get to that end product. And then after you're comfortable with that end product that you got, then you can start branching out and see what else this mod can do. And then maybe you'll find something else you want to add the next time you have the prep. But I would say don't let the mod ruin the other prep you need to do for your game.
God damn. Yes. Man, how many times have I sat down to prep and I'm like, well, I ran a Foundry update because, you got to keep your Foundry updated. And it's like, well, we're not prepping tonight. Like, dice don't roll anymore. They just don't roll. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like, it's bad. It's bad sometimes.
Tell me you're playing 5e when you're not, without saying you're playing 5e.
Or we sit down to listen. We're just using Dice Tray to get through Curse of Strahd Classic. Yeah. That's how broken it is over there. That's how busted that shit is over there. It's so bad. It was so good, and then in the last couple of updates, it's just done. It's just done over there. Yeah, I'm so glad it's just my friends and family group and not like paying customers, because we are just literally using the Dice Tray. We're just like type D20 plus 5, hit enter. You had advantage. Hit up in chat. Hit enter. That's advantage. That's it. Rolling dice. That's it. Because it's so broken. It's so broken.
And see, it still works.
And it still works. That's the thing. I was thinking when I was working on this,
you're still playing D&D.
I hit some low places with this airship, guys. I hit some low places because I tried to do even more than you saw. I tried to do even more to this airship. I was trying to do some pretty wild and incredible stuff with this airship. I had to reach a point where I was like, this is taking away from my prep of the actual campaign. This is taking away from my ability to run this game. It was important to me to have a cool airship in an airship campaign. So that is what the goal was. But I had to stop at a certain point and be like, this has to be cool enough. You know what I'm saying? And I was honestly at a point where I was thinking, I've been doing VTT for over 6 years, 7, 8 years, because I was doing it before I started streaming and before I started doing paid games and stuff like that. I've been running online games since 4th edition online, and we were fine. You know what I'm saying? We had a good time. We had our tokens to move around. We rolled the dice. We checked our character sheet, just like you're playing in real life. The only difference is, instead of having miniatures and a dry erase board, we had some cool looking 2D maps and our tokens to move around. And that's it, baby. We were keeping track of status effects just by saying do you have the status? Make sure you keep track of the status. We're so spoiled now with all these features and automation and stuff like that. But you don't need any of it to have a good time and run a good session and play the game. And you can't let these tools ruin the game, ruin your mood for the game, right? You have to be willing and able to set it all aside and just roll dice. And if Dice Tray isn't even working, you can roll dice on Foundry. You can just honor system it, and let me tell you, your players are going to have some great rolls that night if you're if you do an honor system on the rolls. It's going to be fine. You're gonna be fine. I was thinking hard about the Roll20 life, and I was like, I ran 2 Saltmarsh games, 2 Odyssey games. I ran Skull and Shackles. All of those had boats. You know what I mean? They all had boats. They all had ships, and we didn't have levels, and we didn't have all these cool, features, and we had a great time. Do you know what I mean? We had a good time. We didn't need all this stuff. So I went well beyond where I probably needed to go out of sort of a personal, I want to have a cool airship for this campaign.
Yes.
But I didn't have to do that. And I don't think anybody should feel like they have to do any of this stuff. That's my take on it. Yeah. But I have to ask, Dom, is the time that you spent learning and the extra work, and you kind of say that now that you've learned it, it's not that much extra work, right? It's not that much extra work.
Yeah, because most of the work was learning.
Looking back, was all that time, I mean, we're going to say 100 plus hours, 200 plus hours. I don't know how long it's taking you to learn all the stuff that you're doing. You kind of get in that timeless state, right? It's not like it's a job that you're clocking in and out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, was it worth the time? And here's the other time cost. Is it worth troubleshooting, keeping everything up to date, staying on top of the stuff, and contacting the mod creators to ask them about features, to tell them features are broken, to wait for features to get fixed? Is all of that worth it to you?
So for me, I think it's been worth it. Because I feel fulfilled when it does work. Like the highs of when it does work, and like, you guys like walk up a thing and then somebody comes on it and I'm like, single tear, wipe it away, smile, proud. I have put my hat on, the shadow covers my eyes, the single tear runs out with a smile.
I had that. Yeah,
Ash,
I had that feeling last night when I got to reveal the airship and it actually worked, and those guys were so happy to be climbing up and down ladders on their airship and stuff like that. Meant the world to me. Meant the absolute world to me.
Yeah. So those moments make it worth it, and then also after I get past the initial issues, and it does get at least in the last few years we've been playing Pathfinder. Those issues it has not been as frustrating. And now that I've gotten, and also I've gotten sort of desensitized by it too, that, moving forward, like if something happens, I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, we're having an issue right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend some time, I'll probably spend some time, looking through it. Hopefully we'll figure it out. And at the end of the day, we'll just roll dice for this session. Like I'm okay with just doing that.
And I'm so happy that you've gotten there. Cause like during the first Monster Hunter campaign, I would dread like anything going wrong, because you would get like hyper focused on it. You'd be like, but this is supposed to work, and I set it up and it's not doing it, and it should, and where's this memory leak coming from, and where's this guy? And it's just like, we could just roll dice. Like we could just roll dice and we could keep going. Yep. And you have to get to that point, right? Like you have to be I don't want to say desensitized to it, but you do have to be like, you know what? It ain't working, so we're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna roll dice.
What that happens to me when it breaks between prep time and game time. I'm never gonna get desensitized from that.
Yeah, man.
Because whenever it's working during prep, and then for some reason, I don't know, we start playing the 15 minutes later, and now it's not working, and I didn't do any updates in between that, and that's the part that gets me frustrated, and then I end up getting hyper focused on trying to fix it. If it breaks while I'm prepping, I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll just roll dice this session, and I'm okay.
But I mean, bro, imagine how it feels for me. I literally have recorded evidence. Evidence. We can watch the tape. It was working 5 minutes ago.
That's why whenever that happens for you, Crash, I'll do a little bit of troubleshooting just to see, because maybe I wasn't there for prep. But then after that, I was like, I mean, I know how he feels. I can't, saying anything right now. I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And we just have to say, like, all right, well, you know what? It is what it is, guys. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I've had my notorious people, like the people that have a curse on them when it comes to Foundry technology, I would say are Larry and Leah, and I have had both of them in my games, my Foundry games, since I started running Foundry. They get the weirdest issues, the weirdest stuff. I don't know what's wrong with their character sheets. And Will's guy, remember Orin?
Yeah,
version 7
we had seven Orins. Yeah. So last Wednesday we had an issue with in Carrion Crown, where we, I believe it was me, Dirk, and Red. The map would not load for us. When we went onto the map, it was just the walls and lights. No map at all.
God.
And so we did incognito mode.
Yeah.
Did all the stuff, went to new browsers. Nothing. It didn't work the entire time while we're on this map. You
said a theater of the mind, right?
So I mean, no, we were able to move around and stuff like that. We just couldn't see the.
But I mean, the details of it. Yeah, you had to. Yeah.
Yeah, Leah was being extra descriptive.
Yeah.
When there was a room, but there was other people who could see the map, and so I think Juanito Cardos could see the map, so he was streaming on Discord.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that kind of segues into this. Foundry gets easier every month, right? Because the community is better at taking care of each other, right? Like, we've got Carsophone, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is like reporter on the scene, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's the D&D update reporter.
My algorithm before the stream, my algorithm said, "Hey man, there's an article about Monster Hunter," and the article was, "We're going to get more information about Monster Hunter on Tuesday." I'm like, you didn't need to write a whole fucking article about that, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, he'll be like, "This mod is updated. This mod is updated. This mod is up. This one's bad. Keep an eye out for that one." Now, I wish he played Pathfinder 2e because I don't really get the updates that I need, except for my classic straw game, which is so bjorked that I don't fucking care anymore. Like, it's just whatever at this point. But like, and we have that ability to kind of troubleshoot with each other, and it feels like a early 2000s like IT message board sometimes, because I'll post and be like,
hardware.
Yeah, I'll be like, "Listen, my shit broke again. I don't know why. Anybody know why?" Nobody tells me. Nobody helps me, right? And then I post like 2 hours later. I'm like, "It was this mod," and it's a mod that had nothing to do with the thing that broke, and it was just, it's just like, I guess the update now it breaks that. So I guess got to decide which mod you want. And I mean, people will say like, "I don't know how you and Dom can have all these mods because like you guys have these problems. I never have any problems." It's like, well, how many mods you run? They're like 30. And I'm like, I can't even imagine. I can't
all compendium.
Yeah. You and I sat there for like 4.5 hours one Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and we were like, "Yeah, we're going to get rid of some mods, bro." And I think when we were done, we had 190 something mods after, and then we found mods while we were getting rid of the mods, and we installed more. Like, anybody out there that's running only 30 mods, that's incredible. Like, that's, I don't know how you're doing it. And the people that are running it raw, if you're raw, well, I think we're allowed to say this because it's not a dirty term anymore because they use it on the news. If you're raw dogging Foundry, okay? If you're raw dogging Foundry, then I don't know what that experience is like. And I don't know if I'd want to experience it. Like, I don't think it's all that great without mods. Like, if I was running Foundry without mods, I would just go back to Roll20. I'm just going to say it. Like, I would just go back to Roll20. Because at least on Roll20, it's like an iPhone experience, and I just get what I get. You know what I mean? And, like, it is what it is. Like, I don't feel that way about the core. I don't even feel that way about the core Foundry experience. I feel like the core Foundry experience is still work compared to just running something Roll20. Because the expectations from Roll20 are a lot lower too, right? If my coworker knows that I have an iPhone, they're going to be like, "Oh, it can only do the things an iPhone can do." But if my coworker knows that I have an Android, they're going to be like, "What emulators do you have on your phone? Are you able to remote into the server and fix it from your phone? Are you able to do this from your phone? Are you able to do that from your phone?" Because they know that the phone can literally do anything, right? So people have, in my opinion, bigger expectations out of a Foundry game than out of a Roll20 game. So yeah, if I was gonna drop down,
I mean, I do.
Yeah, exactly. If I sign up for a Roll20 game,
I want to start playing. Yeah.
And you could see the difference, right? I paid for all of Dragonbane on Roll20. Okay, I had it all. We played one session in Roll20, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, we went back to, I bought it all over again at twice the price so that we could play it on Foundry, because I was like, I knew what I was missing out on. You know what I'm saying? I knew what I was missing out on, and I could not bring myself to live without it. So the things that I was missing, I wasn't missing the Foundry core features. I was missing my 248 mods. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, I'm not gonna come back.
I want my dancing animation, you know?
I need it all. If I don't get my mods, then I don't use Foundry. Okay? That's it. That's my line in the sand. I will not use raw Foundry. Period. So everyone out there, if you're raw dogging Foundry, you don't even need to watch this video. Go back to your beautiful Puritan life and just and never have any issues and just be the happiest person in the world. And that's great. And you probably self-host too. you probably self-host too. So you never have any issues at all, okay? This video ain't for you, all right? This is for the people who ain't raw dogging it, okay? The people that are putting all kinds of modifications out there and they break in every other day. That's for them. So all that being said, I think that for me, it didn't feel worth it at all to do any of the extra work in Foundry, to do any of the extra learning in Foundry, until last night when my beautiful little Sky Pirates got on their airship and they were so happy about the airship, and it was like, it was worth it, right? It was worth it in that moment. It was like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then I had a moment this past weekend where I had to kind of come to terms with, if you are doing this stuff, this extra stuff, I had to draw that analog parallel, right? I had to be like, this is just like painting miniatures for an in-person game, just like building terrain for an in-person game. It's a labor of love. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if a paid DM was like, you need to pay me extra because I'm running all these amazing features in Foundry, I would be like, that's on you, bro. I'm here to roll some dice. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to roll some dice. Same way if I showed up at a friend's house and they were like, look at all my incredible terrain. I spent hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars making this terrain. I'd be like, that's sick, dude. And then they're like, here's the tip jar. I would be like, I mean, I didn't ask you to make this. You know what I'm saying? I didn't ask you to make this. Like, that's on you. That's a great castle you made. I don't know how you store it in your apartment. That's awesome. It's not my problem. Like, you did this. So, like, I was thinking that to myself on, like, hour 30 of trying to get airship levels to work with presets and everything like that. I was like, you have to kind of take that mindset of, like, you're doing it because you enjoy doing it and you enjoy the benefits of doing it, and that you don't feel like a prisoner to doing it. That's the important thing, right? I don't want anybody to feel like I wouldn't want my D&D session to get canceled in real life because the DM didn't finish painting his Tiamat miniature. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Bro, you have a Tiamat miniature. It's not just like a jar of mayonnaise. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a Tiamat. That's amazing. I don't give a shit if you painted it or not. Put it on the table. I want to play D&D with you. You know, like, that's the mindset that you have to have. Or this is going to drive you crazy. This kind of stuff will drive you crazy. Whew. All right. So, anything? my Wednesday DM raw dogs and self-host. Incredible. Well, good for him or them. Like, that's fantastic. I don't want to sit next to that person on a bus. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about raw dog and self-hosters. They're like the vegans of the VTT world. They're too good. They're too good and too pure for this world. All right. Any closing remarks as we close this out?
No, I think both of us saying, you know, how much we value, you know, the time we spent on this stuff. I think that's good. You know, there's the pros and the cons. It's going to be different for everybody. Each person, they're going to have their, you know, what their limits on how much effort they want to put in here. But don't let it get in the way of having fun playing D&D or Pathfinder or tabletop RPGs in general on VTT.
Absolutely. All right, man. I think we've got one more VODCAST, and then we're taking like the whole month of April off. So we got to make sure that that's a good one. Gotta make sure this week was okay, but next week's got to be a good one. Got to be a good one. So I don't know what we want to talk about.
There was that one question about NPCs. With all the NPCs I have in Train 1000, all the NPCs you have in Kingmaker, I guess we could do an NPC one. So we did have that question, but I don't know if that's going to be as good as a one that's going to be for a 4-week break afterwards.
That's true. It's got to be one that people won't forget us. Won't forget us on the 4-week break. Oh, we could go highly controversial. We could do problematic themes in modern tabletop. Oh man, why'd they take the orcs out of the monster manual? Oof. I don't know if I've got it in me to cover that. I don't know. I'm not a sensationalist gaming reporter. Maybe we'll just talk about NPCs. I am curious how your growth as a GM has come in regards to that, because that was a big goal of yours for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Was to improve your NPC stuff. So, all right.
Actually, for that, I'm just gonna ask the players and just let me know how have you felt about the NPCs in Strength of Thousands if we do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then on that note, I hope everybody enjoys their Friday. What accents and voice acting crosses into racism? I can tell you right now, as a white guy, I can tell you almost all of them. Like almost all of them. I've gotten a little bit better about it, where I realize that I don't really fucking care. So like, if I know somebody's like from the Mwangi Expanse, for example, I'll use a slightly more like South African-ish accent. I won't try to go full like South African accent, but the one that I won't cross the line is I will not do a heavy Asian accent. Like, I won't do a heavy Asian accent on any character. We had the whole, like, Chozu thing in Skull and Shackles, the most problematic campaign I've ever run. And I don't believe that I did any bad Asian accents during that campaign.
All you gotta do is do anime dubbed
yeah, exactly.
voice.
There you go. Yeah. So that's
anime dubbed voice is what you need to do.
But yeah, it's a tricky space. That's actually a good one. I don't know if that's a before 4 weeks one, but that is actually a pretty good one. And a good way to tackle that sort of topic. I mean, Kingmaker going to be pretty problematic. And I'd say that Skyhaven already problematic. So
I mean, that can be smushed in with the NPCs, like how to do NPCs and how to not be problematic with NPCs.
All right, I'll have to pay.
How to tackle problematic situations.
Yeah, I'm about to say I gotta pay close attention to this, because I got a lot of problematic NPCs, so I'll pay close attention. All right, man. So I hope everybody has a good Friday night and enjoy your weekend. Play some Magic the Gathering on our server, in a totally not pirated way. And then like Monster Hunt and all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.